This is the Diverging Clear Podcast.
Approach diverging, milepost 20.04. Diverging clear, milepost 20.06. Welcome to Diverging Clear, your transportation podcast, with your host, William Moore.
Alright, here we go. I feel good to get back behind this mic. A lot of stuff going on. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Diverging Clear Podcast with your host, William Moore. Good to see y'all again. It's been a while. Been a long while since I got on this mic, but good to be back. A lot of stuff going on in the transportation, political, all of that stuff is intertwined, but a lot of good stuff going on. But so it's good to see y'all again. Thanks for tuning in to the Diverging Clear Podcast. Remember, check me out on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, YouTube, all those good places at the Diverging Clear Podcast. And let me just give you a little update on what's going on here. So it's been a minute since I recorded an episode. Been doing quite a bit, been traveling a lot. Got a bunch of additional responsibilities added to my plate. A whole lot of responsibilities added to my plate with HHI Intermodal. Been traveling to New York, started up our new auto and intermodal operations out there. We took over for a couple contractors out there for the NS. So been doing a lot of work getting us in shape, getting our compliance and all of that stuff in order. I had to make a couple trips out there. Spent almost the entire month of from the end of May to the beginning of July out in Mechanicville, New York, which probably half the people in America ain't never heard of. But it's about 20 minutes north of Albany, New York. So I was out on the East Coast and learned a lot out there. One thing I learned is I didn't realize there was that many damn mountains up in the upstate New York. It kind of caught me off guard when I was driving up there. Like I said, drove up there, spent a little over a month up there getting things in order. And on the drive back, had a nice little pit stop at Niagara Falls. Had never been there before. Had to get off in Buffalo and get some gas. I looked on my GPS, said I was 15 minutes from Niagara Falls. So I said, what the hell? Let's go ahead and go check it out. So I did. But upstate New York, different. Learned a lot up there. Learned a lot. Still learning. You know, can't never say that you know everything, but So a lot of interesting stuff going on that side of things. Got a lot of stuff going on the EME Rail Solutions LLC side of things. Some good things, some not so good things, but that's just life of being an entrepreneur in this rail industry. Sometimes you put in work and people don't appreciate it, or people don't want to hold up the end of the deal. But it is what it is. We keep it moving. I don't never put all my eggs in one basket. So, but it is what it is. But good things will be coming. Good things will be coming soon. So we'll see what happens with that. But said thanks again for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get this show on the road. First story we're going to talk about here is going to be the good old Norfolk Southern and the city of Charlotte. So the Norfolk Southern and the Charlotte has come to a $91 million deal for the NS to sell the what they call the NSO line to the city of Charlotte for approximately $91 million. Now it's $91 million, $74 million for 22 miles of railroad track, and an additional $17 million for, they say, approximately 1.6 acres of land near this Gateway Station in Charlotte. This is all attributed to the proposed rail line that the NS will be has decided to sell off to the city of Charlotte for their proposed commuter rail line. So in this instance, the NS and the city of Charlotte has been in negotiations for about the past since 2023, working on this deal for the city of Charlotte to acquire the NSO line for a proposed commuter rail line project. Now, the city of Charlotte, until they create a transit authority, will own the line. NS does retain freight rights over the line to still service customers on the freight side of things, but the predominant operator will be the city of Charlotte or whatever transit authority they establish to get this commuter rail project on the way. So I thought that was a pretty interesting story that was coming to light here. So, just some interesting things going on with that. But city of Charlotte's made the purchase September 3rd. The city council approved it. I believe it's a vote of 10-1 for the proposed transaction. So as of now, the city will be taking over what will be the former NSO line, 22 miles worth of track for their future commuter rail line. Some of the other things going on, just don't have no card for it, but a couple of the rail unions have, CSX and NS have signed tentative agreements with a couple of the smaller unions prior to the expiration of their upcoming contract. Sounds like the NS and the CSX, I believe also BNSF may have negotiated a deal with some of the smaller unions, mechanical and believe what we call S&C, signal and communication unions, for the upcoming contract negotiations. I believe the NS has signed tentative agreements with 5 unions. I believe the CSX may have also done 5. But in the grand scheme of things, they're trying to get ahead of the negotiations so we don't have a standoff like we had with the last contract negotiations. But yet to reach a tentative agreement are, of course, the Teamsters, BLET, Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers, Teamsters, nor the SMART union, which usually represents the conductors. Have not reached an agreement yet, but the negotiations, I believe, are slated to begin next month. But that's another thing on the front here that's going on. Some of the contracts are getting settled and kind of tentative agreements being reached ahead of the expiration of this current contract, which to me is a good thing, but I said always the big dominoes to fall will be the engineers, conductors, the T&E, yard masters. They have yet to sign yet, but pretty sure that will be coming soon. Let's hope it is. We don't have to go through the same thing we went through last time. The other big story, once again, the Norfolk Southern is in the news, and this is quite a big story. So the breaking news today, well, not today, but it came up, actually, the news broke last night that the NS has fired CEO Shaw. And the reason I'm laughing is because, well, it's just an interesting story to say the least. So according to news reports here, NS, this is according to Progressive Railroading Newswire. Norfolk Southern yesterday announced its board has terminated President and CEO Alan Shaw for cause and appointed Mark George, the company's Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, as President and CEO effective immediately. George will also join the NS board. The change in leadership comes in connection with preliminary findings from an ongoing investigation announced earlier this week that determined Shaw violated company policies by engaging in a consensual relationship with, I'm gonna mess his name up, Nabanita Nag, the company's chief legal officer. Shaw's departure is unrelated to the company's performance, financial reporting, and results of operations, according to the NS press release. The board has full confidence in Mark and his ability to continue delivering on our commitments to shareholders and other stakeholders, said NS Chairman Claude Mongeau. Mark has played an integral role in our recent progress and brings decades of financial experience and strong operational expertise. He embodies our corporate values and is a champion of our safety culture. In close partnership with our accomplished COO, John Orr, they will continue to improve NS operating performance and close the margin gap with peers. George responded, I look forward to my continued partnership with John and the entire Thoroughbred team as we further our progress on optimizing operations and serving our customers while creating a safe and satisfying workplace and delivering enhanced value for our employees, customers, shareholders, and communities. In connection with George's appointment as CEO, John Zampi will serve as acting CFO. The board also announced that it has terminated Nag from her roles as Executive Vice President of Corporate Affairs, Chief Legal Officer, and Corporate Secretary effective immediately in connection with the preliminary findings of the board's ongoing investigation. Jason Morris will serve as Acting Corporate Secretary. Now, this is a very interesting change of events or chain of events. So Alan Shaw, which was at the base of a corporate proxy fight during the last NS board of trustees and board elections, where trying to remember the name of that holding group. Give me 2 seconds here. I think it's Ancora. I believe that's the name of the group. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm trying to bring. Yeah, so Ancora was launched a proxy fight as they were trying to, his company Ancora Holdings, which is a big stockholder of the Norfolk Southern, had launched a proxy fight. The reason I bring that up is because it's, to me, this sounds kind of fishy of a consensual relationship being the reason that you ousted your CEO. I don't know exactly what the NS corporate policies are regarding relationships among co-workers, but they called her as a subordinate of his, with him being the CEO. Not to delve into no conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it is just a little odd that they couldn't get him out through a proxy fight, and all of a sudden that a consensual relationship is the end of his the end of his rail career. Now, I know a lot of people, had their ill will towards Alan Shaw regarding what happened in East Palestine, but I just always remind people that Shaw had just basically taken over as NS when the East Palestine derailment occurred, which means he had not quite put his stamp on how he wanted to run the organization yet. Nothing happens in one day, nothing happened in 6 months, especially with large corporations like the Norfolk Southern. But it just seems quite odd that they couldn't get him out during a proxy fight and get enough people on the board to oust him, that all of a sudden a quote-unquote inappropriate relationship with the subordinate is the reason they ousted him. They couldn't oust him when they released toxic chemicals and disrupted the community of East Palestine, Ohio. If that couldn't cause them to be ousted, but a consensual relationship is, it's just it's quite an odd change of events. Just to be honest with you, that's just my analysis of it. It's just quite ironic that. Now, I don't know if Mr. Shaw was married or not. I don't know, but can guarantee if you go into any number of class ones, passenger, commuter railroads, you could probably kick a whole lot of people out for inappropriate relationships. But like I said, it's just amazing how they can look one way for certain things and, hone in on the other. But historically, if the railroads want you out, they're going to find a way to get you out. I mean, that's just a fact of life. I've been in this industry over 20 plus years. And let's say maybe I'm a little biased because I've had certain stuff like that happen to me. But it's just quite odd. And I thought that Shaw was trying to get the NS on the right track. I think he had a plan out there that would have continued to grow the NS's business and attack some areas that the other railroads were looking off. I thought that the NS was doing an excellent job as far as service on the intermodal side of things. I mean, they were, if you just saw just some of their operations, the trains and the destinations that they served and some of the shorter hauls that they had, kind of rolled into their model, which was having a great impact on converting truck traffic to rail because of the destinations they were serving. And I just thought that they were on the right path to make some good inroads in a bunch of different areas. But we'll see how that continues. We'll see if they're able to continue that momentum without damaging some of the good things they were building upon. A lot of people were talking about their economic performance. The East Palestine derailment did have some impact, which it should have, on their earnings. However, I thought that they were doing other things that was going to be proven to be long-term successes and not just the typical what they want, the quick return on investment. I thought that this was going to be. I think that they're on a path for being able to keep things moving in the right direction. But we'll see how this plays out with the new CEO and, John Oregon, his, footprint on NS operations and the way that they handle things. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But again, it's just a interesting story that out of all the things that's happened, that inappropriate consensual relationship was the downfall of Alan Shaw. So, everybody has their ethics and their morals. It's just interesting when they choose to exercise them. So that's just my thoughts on it. But that's all I got to say about that. But we'll continue to monitor how NS is going. Again, just because my company HH Intermodal currently has a contract with Norfolk Southern. These point of views does not reflect the put the disclaimer on there. Does not reflect the visions or the views of HH Intermodal LLC. These are my opinions. These are my views, and this is not in any way, shape, or form a form of having a negative word against the NS. It's just very interesting how this shook out. But like I said, we'll see how things continue to go. I think NS does have a good plan in place currently, but we'll see if they stay on that same path. So we're going to take a quick break. I've been talking for a little bit here, but we'll take a quick break and then we'll get to the main story. And we'll talk to you soon.
Diverging Clear is sponsored by EME Rail Solutions, LLC. We don't own rail cars, locomotives, or tracks, but if you do, we provide cutting-edge solutions to maximize your assets. Visit us at emerail.net to learn more.
So, have you checked out my podcast yet? What? Did you even know I had a podcast? Well, if not, let me introduce you to the Diverging Clear Podcast.
Approach diverging, milepost 20.04. Diverging clear, milepost 20.06. Welcome to Diverging Clear, your transportation podcast, with your hosts, William Moore and Jermaine Walker.
Just wanted to kind of research a little bit, like exactly why. Why did Pullman shut down? Why did America divest, or as another term people like to use, defund passenger rail service and trains? We were still doing this, not knowing what this virus or this pandemic was going to be. We showed up every day. And the things that the railroad, the carriers, the class ones did was offer some bogus contract that they knew nobody would want. And any comments that you got there, Jermaine?
It's got to be a little bit of a culture shock to employees that are at MRL. MRL, I knew personally a lot of people that was interested in going to Montana just to be there and be a part of the company. But I've heard nothing but great things from the people that do work there. And
so, did you like what you saw? Did you like what you heard? If so, go to the Diverging Clear Podcast and subscribe to it on YouTube. It's also available on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Anchor, and any other place you listen to your fine podcasts. Remember, thank you. Check us out. Share it. Like it. Trying to get us out there. Some great information, A lot of stuff that's important to everything that we do on there. Thanks again. Take care. Talk to you soon. Ones has started putting embargoes in place so that traffic wouldn't get stalled. The Canadian Industrial Relations Board on August 24th ordered CN and Canadian Pacific Kansas City to resume rail operations, and the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference (TCRC) union employees to return to work. CN received an order from CIRB imposing binding arbitration between the company and the TCRC. The CIRB has ordered that no further labor stoppage, including a lockout or strike, can occur during the arbitration period, CN officials said in a press release. This means that the strike notice recently issued to CN by the Teamsters is now voided. On August 23rd, the TCRC served CN with a 72-hour strike notice. A strike could have begun as early as today, and this is on August 26th, had the CIRB not acted. The CIRB order also extends the current collective agreement until a new one is agreed, CN officials said. CPKC said it will fully comply with the CIRB order. As such, CPKC is ending the lockout initiated on August 22nd, company officials said in a news release. CPKC asked employees to return to work for yesterday's day shift, which again, that was August 26th. Our team is executing this restart plan for the safe and orderly resumption of rail service across Canada, CPKC said. We are working with customers on a balanced return to normal operations. On August 29th, the CIRB will convene a case management meeting with the party, CPKC officials added. Although the union will comply, it is disappointed with the CIRB ruling and will appeal to federal court, TCRC officials said in a press release. The decision by the CIRB sets a dangerous precedent. It signals to corporate Canada that large companies need only stop their operations for a few hours, inflict short-term economic pain, and the federal government will step in and break a union, the TCRC President Paul Boucher stated. Canada's two Class 1s on August 22nd locked out more than 9,200 unionized workers after the parties couldn't reach labor agreements by a midnight deadline. TCRC leaders maintain that railways are asking the union to make concessions on crew scheduling, rail safety, and fatigue management. The union represents about 6,000 conductors, conductor trainers, yard coordinators, and locomotive engineers across the CN network, and 3,200 locomotive engineers, conductors, and yard workers at CPKC. So that's what happened, and the reason why we're going to discuss this is because I think this is setting a bad precedence for how labor negotiations goes moving forward. The CIRB essentially took away the bargaining strength that the TCRC had to resolve some of these differences. Now, what's at play here? Well, what's at play here is quality of life improvements for the TCRC. And why do I say that? Because some of the problems that the TCRC was having with the negotiations with CN and CPKC was the fact that they wanted their conductors and engineers and different personnel to move around the entire network for unspecified periods of time to fill labor shortages. So what does that mean? So let's just say, for instance, if you're based out of, just take a major city in Canada. Say you're based out of Montreal, and you normally run a distance between Montreal, you run east. Well, let's say all of a sudden they have additional trains and additional services, a worker shortage to move required said trains at another location on the network. What the railroads wanted to do was take any extra people that they had at one location and move them to a whole other part of the network in order to fulfill those service commitments or service schedules that due to the lack of manpower at said location. So essentially, it was almost like a roving extra board. Now let me just make this clear. Train crews and stuff, their schedules are already held, just to say the least. But then you're talking about these guys being moved to locations, being away from their families, away from their home terminals, being away from home for unspecified periods of time. Now let's just put that in perspective here. How many people do you know could just up and uproot? People have families, people have, different things at home. How many people could just uproot for an unspecified period of time and be okay with it? That's issue number one. Issue number two. Do you understand what it takes to get qualified on a territory and to know a territory effectively, ins and outs of it, grades, speed restrictions, just the qualification processes on a couple territories. Now you're talking about moving these guys to territories that they're not familiar with. Let's be clear. Canada's got some outposts. They got places where guys are literally sleep on trains until they're rested to wake up and move that train again. Some of these places are so isolated, and you're talking about moving people where they're literally sleeping on the trains for their rest period, wake up, don't even get a chance to shower, just to say the least, and then move a train again until they get somewhere where they can actually lay their heads. So this is what was not going to be the exception. This was going to start being a common practice. One thing that I want people to realize is that railroad life is a tough life. It takes a different type of person to do this type of work. This is not built for everybody. However, the ones that have chose to do this work, we should not make their life a living hell to do this work. It is a tough job. People don't realize how important it is to be rested, focused, and just having a peace of mind on what you're doing every day. That makes, railroads are a safe form of transportation, but it takes a lot goes into doing that. Now, me being a director of safety, I guess I'm kind of one of the newer school of thinkers when I try to account for everything that can impact someone from being able to do their job safely. And these type of schedules, it is grueling on the body. It is grueling on the mind. And if you don't have mind and body, it is hard to operate a railroad safely. So what I believe the TCRC is asking for is not, it should be something that's associated. It shouldn't have to even be an ask. It should be what's associated with 21st century railroading. Now, a lot of people don't realize what the 2020 pandemic did was it made people readjust and focus a lot more on just being at work 98% of the time of their life. I spent, like I said, I hate keep throwing myself in there, but I've been in the rail industry since 2001, 2024 now. And let me tell you this, I've missed so much stuff. I've given up so much stuff. I've jeopardized my own health working this schedule. I'm not sitting there crying and whining about it, but all I'm gonna say is this. If you want good people to do this job, there's certain things we gotta give up on the railroad side thing. Just because that's the way we've done it, that's not a justification for when you can properly staff, you can properly schedule, You can do these things. It's been proven it can be done. But when you're just obstinate and don't want to do it, then I have a problem with it. And I will always have a problem with it. I've seen schedules, the way schedules are built. I've seen that you have the ability to set things up a certain way. And when you're just absolutely just choosing not to do it, I have a problem with it. It's already hard enough to recruit people into this line of work. So because of the way we operate with the legacy contracts, the legacy seniority, the legacy pay progression, because of that, the rail industry on the Canadian side and the American side, we're losing out on the opportunity to recruit talent. People don't no longer wants to be working 18, 19 hours a day on a straight salary. People don't want to be away from home, 6 to 7 days a week, maybe one day off. People don't want to work like that no more. So instead of us, and when you read into some of the grievances that the TCRC was having, a lot of them come down to quality of life. And let me just make this clear: American railroads are not exempt from this either. So when American Class 1s and conductors, engineers were about to go to strike, and they were ordered to go back to work with a basically contract passed by Congress. They did finally agree to start giving the railroad, the employees, days off and sick time and different things like that. However, talking to different people in the industry, a lot of those off days and different things still got strings attached to them. Either they're not being recognized or they're not being given out the way that they should be, because they always throw some type of caveat in there. Oh, well, our staffing's not allowing it, or this or this, or this or that. There's always an excuse for them not to do it. And some of the railroads have even, heard some people, some of my sources tell me about a Western Class 1 that's looking at rolling a lot of that stuff back in this next round of contracts, which I'm going to tell you, that's not going to happen. No, those unions, and rightfully so, should not give up what they fought so hard to get. So what's going on in Canada is not going to be exclusively mutual to Canada. When the next round of negotiations comes around for the T&E train and train and engine crews, we'll see the same fight probably take place again. So I'm kind of watching Canada to see how this shakes out. I'm curious to see how the CIRB and these the arbitration agreements go up there, because what happens up there is going to greatly impact what happens here in our next round of railroad contract negotiations with major railroads and Amtrak coming on this next round of negotiations. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this, because although the unions fought hard to get those sick days into their contract, those sick days are still on the table to be negotiated out. Trust and believe me when I say that. So I'm actually pulling for the TCRC up on the Canadian side of the border. I hope that they are able to get these quality of life improvements, because like I said, let's just be honest, the quality of life is something that railroaders have had to sacrifice since railroading has begun. I thought we were making some headway with it with this last round of negotiations, but like I said, what you're seeing happen up there and up north of the border in Canada will definitely be attempted to be implemented here in this next round of negotiations on the USA side of the border. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. Like I said, I'm pulling for the TCRC. I want to see those quality of life changes come to fruition. I think the railroads can afford it. I think the railroads, if they would quit quit looking short term and look long term, we'll see better productivity moving forward if they can allow these employees to have quality of life improvements. When you have quality of life improvements, you're more focused, you're more giddy to get to work. When you have a good stable schedule, you can do other things outside of just work. So I'm curious to see how this goes. I'm going to be monitoring this situation. I'll bring us some more podcasts, maybe do a couple more shorts as these negotiations proceed, because trust and believe, this will not be the end of this fight. I think the test bed is Canada right now to see what they're allowed to get away with, because whatever they're allowed to get away with or quote unquote negotiated up there in Canada, if it's favorable for the railroads, trust and believe they're going to try it down here in America. So good luck to the TCRC in these negotiations. Always stand in solidarity with you guys. I was a member, former union member. I'm part of management now, but I still believe in union rights and believe in quality of life improvements, because overall it has a great impact on our industry when you can have that peace of mind, that quality of life while you're out here doing a difficult job. So good luck to the TCRC out there. We'll be monitoring it. And that's going to be the end of my podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Where else am I? I keep forgetting this. It's been a while since I've done this. But check us out wherever you can find any of your favorite podcasts. Once again, thank you. This is episode only number 4. I'm going to try to record a couple more here and there with some updates coming up. Maybe we'll discuss the Bright Line project. Some significant investments been made there and grants been approved. So we're seeing some things happening with high-speed rail out west with the Bright Line project between Las Vegas and Southern California. Also saw some grants issued for the Texas high-speed rail project between Dallas and Houston. So we'll keep monitoring that. We'll discuss that at a later date. But thanks again for tuning in. Y'all stay safe out there. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good one.
Diverging Clear is sponsored by EME Rail Solutions, LLC. We don't own rail cars, locomotives, or tracks. If you do, we provide cutting-edge solutions to maximize your assets. Visit us at emerail.net to learn more.